You've earned a badge. You've earned a badge of honor. Today is an opportunity to unfold what that is. For anyone that's on social media, you may have seen some posts about New Year's and letting go of 2023, moving into 2024. I remember during COVID time, do you remember all the little funny things that would be said about, like, let's say goodbye to this? Ugh. There were even Christmas tree ornaments that had, like, where it's toilet paper, this and that, It was like, oh, goodbye to that. Let's get rid of it. But on social media this year, there were a bunch of posts on, soon you'll be seeing all this stuff about, yay, 2023 is complete, moving on to 2024, like, great year. And for some of you, it wasn't a great year. For some of you, there were things that happened that were brutal, right? I had some people do a little Happy New Year's to me, and I was like, 2023, One of the hardest years of my life as far as the what happened. Now, that's different than the how I am in it, right? That's different than how, I'm doing. But the what happened, if I wrote it up at the beginning of 2023, I would have said, how about someone put me to sleep for 2023 and wake me up when it's over? Anyone else had that experience? Good on you if you didn't, right? Does anyone know anyone that had a brutal experience in 2023 or some brutal things that happened? Yeah? In my position, I hold a lot of prayer space, and that means you get a lot of news. You presence a lot of things. So imagine the things that happen in your friend group or your family, right? That are some of the hardest things. And then think about in community, if you're part of our prayer team, we have some of our prayer chaplains, and our lead prayer chaplain, licensed unity teacher, Judy Estes, in the house today. Yeah, why don't you actually stand up for a second so people know? Because if you want to pray with someone after the service, right here. So with that position comes some intensity, and no one goes into that without having some intensity and some brutal in life. But we presence a lot of what's going on in the collective, right? And you develop a sensitivity and a rawness to life. And for some people, it leads to this idea that life is suffering, right? Life is suffering. Life is hard. That is an idea that is very predominant in a lot of cultures and in a lot of religious practices, right? Life is suffering. Some people believe that is just why we're here. It's just what it's about. And then in unity, we focus on the good, God the good. We focus on our intention and pulling the good, being the good, asking for the good in everything, asking for the lesson, asking for the growth, asking for the transformation. And our dark side in unity is that we can ask for that so much that we are riding a little ice cream truck through town. With that little, the jingle, do you remember the ice cream trucks that go through your neighborhood, right? And like, here, popsicles, popsicles. Joe, can you give me a jingle ice cream truck? Popsicles, popsicles, right? Do, 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 do. It's going through the town, there we go. Right? Thanks, Joe. But we can ride a little ice cream truck through town acting like, I've got to stay so focused on the good. And somehow, like, if I stay focused enough on the good, the ice cream truck will stay in my neighborhood and keep coming. Bad things won't happen. And when I say bad things won't happen, I mean bad things that the ego judges are bad, or the emotions judge are bad, or the psyche says, no more of that. I don't want that. It doesn't feel good. But my beloved friend, Michael Beckwith, who is the head of the Agape Center, says, a bad day for the ego is a good day for God. What? A bad day for the ego is a good day for God. Why? Because God is the grand overall design. God is the good in everything. And sometimes when the ego has a bad time, when it's like, it brings us to a place of surrender. It brings us to a place of humility about our suffering and about that aspect of life that can feel brutal. I have a beloved going through an intense time with a lifetime friend. And in our phone conversations, when I presence this person, I don't say like, it's all good. They're presencing someone having some declines of the mind and the body that are not going to physically get better. But we heard in the daily word that even if we have a condition, right? Even if there is a condition that we have, I live from my wholeness, even if I experience illness. I live from my wholeness. I may receive treatment, it says, but I do not consider myself weak or diseased. So that's the practice, right? That's the practice. The practice is living from a space, feeling something, feeling whole, even in the midst of what can be very tender and very brutal and feel like suffering. So our practice in unity of positive, practical new thought, positive, practical spirituality is not to deny ourselves the experience of being broken open, but like the yin-yang, be able to hold a space for both. And to recognize there is a me that exists beyond both, right? There is a me. I don't have to identify with each of those. I don't have to be the sufferer and the person that's like, oh, yes, it's so good. It's joy. It's joy. It's so bad. Sometimes on social media, I feel like I should post the terrible stuff because my life just looks just gorgeous, right? Little 5-year-old walking around. Oh, here's dinner time. Look at this. Look at that. But do I post when I'm like, you haven't listened to me for the 50th time? Get your stuff together, right? Do I post like I had one of the worst experiences of my life? You want to know what happened to me this year? Do I post a picture of myself like crying when I see someone come out of the library that looked like my dad, and it struck me to such a degree that when I walked in, I just had to stop and breathe? Did I cry and just go, that guy looked like my dad? Now I'm sobbing in tears, right? Like what? No. And sometimes when we go about in a human condition, we make these assumptions. That's why we look only within, right? We don't look around. We don't compare on the outside. Because if you think your life is better or worse than someone else's, news flash, you have no idea. Do you believe that? You have no idea. Who has seen relationships or marriages they thought were the best ones, or like, this is so awesome, they're so amazing, I want to be like them. And then what do you see? Boom, they're not together. What? I had to constantly remind myself in my daughter's early years, and this is kind of terrible, but this is where the practice comes in. I had to remind myself about parenting and relationships because I made a choice to be a single solo mother. I made that choice, right? And think of all the woe is me that can happen. And mothers, raise your hand if you're a mother in the house, or I know fathers too, but mothers, I have a whole new thing for mothers and Mother's Day now. Like, I'm sorry, men no longer get included. The whole unity thing of like, and let's also honor, while we honor the mother, let's honor the father as well at the same time so everyone feels included. No. Mothers, some sort of heroic gene that you have. Men, you have your own heroic genes. Kudos to that. Thems, you have your own heroic genes. Kudos to that, right? But I made that choice. And the number of times I had to remind myself that there are as many blessings as there are curses in any choice was insane. And I had to like slap myself silly a number of times, even remind myself and say, Erin, look at the percentage of people who end up in divorce within 5 years of a child's birth. Do not tease yourself and think that it could be any harder to choose it on your own and do it as a working person than it would be to go through a divorce in the first 5 years of a child's life. And I honor my family on the planet that's had to go through that to slap me in the face and remind me that I don't need to create any extra tension, judgment, worry, turmoil in my own life because of what my mind might do with the stories around my life or other people's lives. So are we ready to let all that go? To really have a spiritual practice around it? Because 2023 is gone and 2024 is going to be different if we make some rules around it. I, being the only adult member of my household, have amazing women that support me in this lifetime on this planet. They're all my husbands, kind of. And, right? And they're good husbands, too. If you don't have female husbands, get some. They change your life. But they come to visit or call, and we take on projects together. Things that you might decide with a partner, like what should we do next with the house? How do we fix this? Whatever. They make those decisions with me. And recently, I have realized how very, very, I always know, but how very, very special it is that they're willing to be with me in this time. So like a visit to me isn't just a visit to just do all these things that you might do when you're on vacation. Like what? What might you do when you go visit a girlfriend? Go out to dinner? Go out to see a show? Go out to the movies? When you come to visit me, you take care of foster puppies that I got, so I would distract myself from the holidays, so I would stay around here. I'd rather do this than be down here. You figure out what's going on with the septic tank. You figure out why there's mold in the closet and how to get rid of that. You figure out which company to go with to make sure raccoons and possums don't die in the basement. I could go on, and I'm not kidding you. Figure out why that auto pay didn't set up properly. What's going on with that thing? And so, recognizing how incredibly amazing it is to have people in my life that are like, let's do that, and I'll take out the trash to the curb and bring back the containers. I thought with this last friend's visit, like, I will not squander this. The fact that you're excited about going through my house and getting rid of all the junk, I will not squander that. Nor will you come back and see the same problem again. Because one thing about me, except for the ways that I'm unconscious, is that I am not an enabler. If you've been around this ministry for a long time, in other ministries too, you can tell the difference between a minister that's an enabler and a minister that's not. And the ones that are not, it takes some mature people to be around because you don't get coddled, right? You don't get coddled. But what you can be assured of is I will not go in and clean someone's house if I'm going to come back in a month and the same junk is going to be happening again. Now, I will be the first to be there for hours, day and night. If after we do it, you're going to apply some rules and then you're not going to be in the same situation. So we all have some things, whether these are things of the mind or things physical or things of the body, right? It's either our eating habits, the way we treat ourselves, whether we get sleep, whether we exercise, our spiritual practice, whether or not we're meditating, taking our walks, what we're doing. our home life, right? Whether or not we're collecting junk, whether or not we're letting go of stuff, whether or not we're drowning in our stuff or, drowning in our lack, right? Whatever it is, keep going. There's something for you, right? There's something that's not functional, that is not working as well as we'd like it to work in our lives, and we want to leave it in 2023. But it's going to take some rules. And only we can come up with those rules, right? So I made some rules for myself after this girlfriend came to town. It's like, I am not doing that again. So I'm going to put something in place so that doesn't happen again. And I have a new commitment and a new awareness. I am aware now. I am awake now. Anyone can call me on it. But we're not doing that again. Because she's not going to come back and see the same mess. So what is it in 2024 for yourself? And maybe you feel like there's no mess in your life. There might be a mess in your mind. There might be something that it's like, I just want to bring this to the next level. I just want to have this be even better. So what is it that if you made a little rule for yourself, a little law, a little note to self, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do this. I can embrace the good. I can embrace the suffering. I can be with it all. And I've learned something this year. I have earned a badge. The badge you earned from the beauty and the brutal. So what badge did you earn last year? Think about that for a moment. What badge did you earn? How have you grown? How have you grown? What have you learned? How have you integrated what you have learned? Martin Luther King said the ultimate measure of a human is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. So what have you learned from either the challenges in the world, in your own life, in your own body, in your own being? How have you grown? What have you learned? How have you integrated it? We just got a kitten to add to the circus. And I told Georgia after the kitten had, my brain is censoring just in case one of you might want a kitten someday. No. I told her that after the kitty had 2 improper potties, I said, it might be a foster kitty. It might not be our forever kitty. We might be fosters because it might have anxiety or need people that are home or this or that. But it is the sweetest kitty, and I really want to keep it. It's just the sweetest little kitty. But I know cats, and you can't really train them, can you? Who's a cat person? Cat people, raise your hand. Dog people, raise your hand. If you're on Facebook, put a little cat in the comments, put a little dog in the comments, or put both. If you're on Zoom room, go ahead, cat people, dog people. I have my theories about these 2 things because it says a lot about our personalities. But for the cat people, you can't train them, right? Not really. So you kind of get what you get. And I was like, I am not getting a peer. Can't handle it. And this cat also is very, very, and it's tiny. And there are owls and foxes and birds and all that stuff right outside the door. But it is very determined to go outside. Very. And it's also very determined to get on the counters and to get to any food that's out as fast as it can. Match that with a 5-year-old that leaves food out, not watching it. And so by the time my friend came to town, I was debating. And she's like, oh, it's a good cat, it's sweet. But I also kind of surrendered. Like, my hands are too full to try so hard. And I did, one time, don't think that I'm terrible, but I took a soda can. It was a seltzer can. And I threw it towards the cat. I didn't try to hit the cat, but anyone know what I'm talking about when you're trying to train a cat, right? Crinkly things, tinfoil, soda cans with coins in them. So I did that like once to try to get it off the counter. And it didn't work. I put out the spray bottles, even did the faucet thing, and she's just like. So I kind of gave up, right? But then my girlfriend came to town, and she's like, get the coins, get the jar. And I was like, I kind of tried. It didn't work. And then she got this little, what Georgia calls the Jingle jar. She got it ready, and she goes, what happened? Right off the counter. But you have to stick with it, don't you? If it happens one other time and you don't, you've got to be like around. You've got to be right there. What did you just do on the counter? What did you say? What are you trying to lick? You cannot relax about it, can you? Do you want to jingle it? Georgia calls it the Jingle jar. So we have Jingle jars on every counter now. And every time the behavior doesn't line up, and believe it or not, it is kind of working, even with this very strong-minded critter. But here's the deal. Our minds are no different, are they? You can try to give it the easy way, and 2023 will roll into 2024. Or you can jingle jar it, make some rules, and birth the space where something different, something new, something greater, something more aligned with you can emerge. But it does take vigilance. It takes mindfulness. It takes being aware. This awareness, this commitment to what's new is so significant spiritually. It is such a part of the human and the spiritual condition that is talked about in sacred scripture. And that's what that Revelations passage refers to. It refers to a badge of honor that was earned from experience of the past. And you can make it any time in the past up to this day, or you can make it this last year. But something that was learned, earned, and experienced that now you are made new. You are reborn. And what that warrants scripturally, what that warrants spiritually is a new name, a new word. To walk with. And that word kind of merges with the jingle jar. That word is something that every time you notice the mind going back, you say, call forth the word, right? You call out the new name. And that is what the sacred practice is about. Revelations 2:17, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To those who conquer, I will give some of the hidden manna, the hidden food, the hidden nourishment. And I will give him a white stone. Please take that in your hand right now. And if you're home or online, grab a rock, grab a piece of paper, whatever it is, something to write on and something to write with. I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. Let's take that into a moment of meditation. Place your stone in your hand. Close your outer eyes and open your inner awareness. First, bless this stone. It's your jingle jar. It's going to be with you. You're going to put it on an altar, in your pocket, in your purse, in your car, somewhere that you can read the word that's on here and remember, you did that. You learned that. You lived through it. It may have broken you, but it broke you open. It didn't break you apart. You may know who you are spiritually and know what you came here for, onto this planet Earth, into this incarnation in time and space. And you may know somewhere deep inside of you that you're still, or you were still living in a limitation, but you're ready to wake up now. You got it. And this is the stone that says you've got this. This is the stone that says, I honor that past that was me, but now I have a new name. It may be a word, it may be an image that you draw, it may be an actual name. You may know what it's about. You may receive a name in this meditation right here, right now, that you don't even know why you got that name. It may feel weird. You may think, I'm not writing that on there. Write it. Trust that it will tell its story to you throughout this next year. Trust that you will see it appear for you as the time is right. Trust that it has a gift for you. So let's take a deep inhale and exhale. She who has an ear to hear, let her hear what the Spirit says to the body of life, to the human condition, to the expressions of God. You have an ear to hear. Listen to what the Spirit says. And as you get your word or your name, your symbol, your image, take that pencil and write it on that stone or a piece of paper that you'll later transfer to a rock. This stone is from Jerusalem. It's spiritually significant. It's literally imported sacred stone. It is of the earth that has been here before humanity, that will be here through time. Hold it in your hand. It is solid. And place that word on your stone. And then I invite you to take that stone to your heart and breathe life into it. Lean into the universal. This is life living itself through us, as us. Let it make us stronger. Let us take the good forward. And now place it into your hands of prayer. From the words of the author Parker Palmer, he said, suffering breaks our hearts. But the heart can break in two different ways. There's the brittle heart that breaks into shards, shattering the one who suffers as it explodes, and sometimes taking others down when it's thrown like a grenade at the ostensible source of its pain. Then there's the supple heart, the one that breaks open, not apart. The one that can grow into greater capacity for the many forms of love. Only the supple heart can hold suffering in a way that opens to new life. Create in me, sweet spirit, a supple heart. We lean into life, acknowledging the beauty and the tenderness, the brutal and the suffering, but always acknowledging God. This is your new name, the new you, the new life, the new day. And so it is. Amen. Would you affirm with me, this is a new day? Together, this is a new day. This is my new life. Together, this is my new life. This is my new name. Together, this is my new name. And so it is.